What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the final episode of the What Could Have Been Fantasy Football League podcast for this season. I know the season didn't end quite the way we wanted it to, guys. We really didn't find out who the true champion is. But keep in mind, for us, it's just a game, guys. The truth is that, we almost saw a person die on national TV, live. And so, luckily that, Mr. Damar Hamlin did survive. He was able to be saved. They had to do CPR on the field for the guy. He's still in the hospital recovering. The most important thing is that he's okay, all right? We will live. We will fight to play fantasy football season another year, right? And then luckily for him, he's alive for another year. And that's the most important thing. Under ideal circumstances, the game would have been played in full, and we would have known who the true champion is by points, right? But again, it's just a game, guys. Just keep that in mind. All right. Next up, for next season, here's what we got so far, right? Guys, I teach math for a living. All right. So please understand, if you can see the images on the screen, math is nobody's favorite subject, right? Except for Sean, right? Sean is an actuary in real life. So other than that, dude, everybody fucking hates math, right? Who wants to be an actuary? Actuary, math teacher, I don't know, bro. Those go hand in hand. Take your pick, 50-50. But yeah, so look, I know everything's not perfect, but just keep that in mind, man. My job is rough. If you have advice or suggestions, please, man, I'm open to all that. I welcome everybody's input. I try to get as much input as I can before making decisions. But keep in mind, there's a difference between some constructive input and just bitching, all right? So next season, guys, do me a favor, man. Easy on the bitching. For next season so far, the Sleeper, look, here's the thing, man. I'm not tied to Sleeper, the app, right? But what I am tied to is I like trading Fab. So if there's another app that will allow me to trade Fab, I'm all for it, man. I mean, the app doesn't matter itself, right? Trading Fab, I like. The other thing I do like is the adjusting of the playoff matchups. So here's the thing. If it was up to me, everybody would get into the playoffs, right? And it would be like a March Madness seed where, we have seeds 1 through 14. Boom, a true champion emerges, right? Everybody gets in. If you're going to be first place, you have to be the true champion and beat everybody. Unfortunately, the only way to do that is to start the playoffs like in week, I don't know, I think it was like 12 or 13. And that's just too soon, right? Because there's too many bye weeks still going on. So the way I did it this year on Sleeper, I was able to do the week 14 buys and then start the playoffs on week 15. And that's the closest I can get to get everybody in. Why do I want to get everybody in? Here's the thing. Two things. One, a couple of seasons ago, when we had the traditional 1 through 8 seeds, right? I was the 1 seed, and I purposely tanked the last game of the season to try to avoid Lily, who's the Tom Brady team, from getting in because the team was stacked. And I said, man, I do not want to have to play her at all in the playoffs, right? So I took an L on purpose. I don't remember if she got in or not. But, in the grand scheme of things, man, it's probably not the most kosher thing to kind of decide who gets in and who doesn't. So with the way that we did it this year, the top 6 teams got in under a bye, right? So they got in no matter what. They couldn't affect anybody else that got in. The last 2 teams that got in for 7th and 8th, it was just based on points, right? So you couldn't tank that last game and try to, determine who's in and who's out. It's just up to what the points are going to be. So I do like that. The other reason I like it is because, for me in particular, I took an injury early on in the season. I lost my best running back I had on my team. And, it's real easy at that point if you lose one of your best players to be like, nah, you know what, forget this, man, I'm giving up. And you don't even pay attention or set your lineup for the whole year. But with the way it's set up now that we had it this year, being that anybody can get into the playoffs, even at the end, right, then you have hope, right? So for me personally, it was like, dude, screw this. I ain't playing this shit no more, right? But I was like, all right, you know what? I still got a chance to get in, man. I just got to see what happens week 14. I got a chance to get in. I didn't get in, but at least I had that hope of getting in. So I do like the way that the playoffs were structured this year. So again, I'm not tied to sleeper, but the two things I really am tied to are being able to trade fab when you do trades and adjust the playoff matchups at the end, right? So if we find another app between now and next season that will allow both of those things, I'm all for it. But if not, we'll stick with sleeper for one more year and then see if the other apps kind of catch up with those two things. All right. Scoring next year for sure. Defense has scored too many points, man. My bad. I try to make it where the defenses weren't irrelevant, but I think I kind of leaned too much to one side, and the defense was scoring a shitload of points. So I will kind of scale back on the defenses and kickers as well. I did want kickers to be rewarded for, if you kick a 60-yard field goal, hey, man, that's a big deal. You should get rewarded, right? So like next year, I'm going to scale down a little bit on the kickers. So what happened is instead of getting like 0.1 for every yard, so like if they kick a 43-yard field goal this year, it was 4.3. I might make it 0.05 or even 0.01 for that extra yard, right? So it kind of scaled down a little bit on the kicker scoring. There's a lot of kickers that score like 20 points this season. I'm like, wow, man, that's a lot of points. My quarterback didn't even score 20 points, although my quarterback sucked. But that's another story. So those two things will for sure get adjusted. Everything else as far as the scoring, man, I liked it, man. Even the tight ends, right? The tight ends with the full point PPR, it was cool. Everybody had at least a tight end that you can start, and you're like, oh man, this dude's gonna blank me. Like nobody got blanked on the tight end spot. And then the tight ends that did well, it's not like they like super beast moded over everybody, where it's like, whoa, this is not even fair. Kelsey's Kelsey. But Oz paid, I don't know, like $80 for the guy. So fuck it. If you're gonna pay $80 for one player, you better score that much, and it's perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. So, but other than those two things, I think the scoring is gonna stay the same. As far as everybody coming back, look, man, some of you guys bitch more than others. Whatever, right? Please remember, look at the image in the picture. I teach those kids for a living. That shit is rough, bro. When I come home at the end of the day, I don't want texts all day bitching and complaining about stupid shit in the league, man. I'm trying. For me, it's like the commissioner job is being a commissioner is like a second job. That's harder than my first job. All right. But look, if for whatever reason, if things ain't working out for you, man, and you're like, you know what, man, I can't take it. I'm not doing this fucking league anymore. Just let me know in advance, okay? No hard feelings, man. I get it, man. Fantasy football can suck sometimes, especially when your team was as shitty as mine this year. So if you're not coming back, let me know. Other than that, man, we just roll with the same teams that we had this year. As far as the champion, we do have a champion, all right? So Team CeeDee Lamb, which is my man, Tom Doss, he sucks. And I only say he sucks because I didn't win, right? So anybody that wins besides me, I'm going to say you suck, bro. But no, man, good job, dude. His record overall was only 7-7. He went in as the 8th seed. So to come out and be the champion, it's pretty good, man. What I do want to say is that for the seeding next year, I do want to be able to adjust the seeding, right? So that the week 14, the top 6 teams will have a bye. The last 2 teams will get on based on points. The one thing I do want to look at is make sure that if the 7th and 8th team end up being the 2 highest scores, then they will stay 7th and 8th, right? So the 7th and 8th teams, let's say if, the 7th team was CeeDee Lamb for whatever, and then the 8th team going in was Tejanos, let's just say, for example. But in that week 14, Tejanos outscores CeeDee Lamb. I'm not going to change the 8th place team with the 7th place team, right? I'll just leave it the same. Those 2 guys still get in. They'll get in as 7th and 8th, right? But if someone else gets in that wasn't 7th and 8th, let's say the 10th place team gets in, then yes, I will adjust it according to points for those 2 teams. But if it's just the 7th and 8th team end up getting in anyways, then I'm going to leave it just the way it is and leave the seedings the way they are, okay? So that's the one thing I will change for next year, and I'll keep an eye on. All right. As far as payouts, so here's how we came to the conclusion that Tom was a champion. And I give it to Tom, right? So I was thinking that they were going to be co-champions this year, but Tom did suggest a pretty good idea. and Mr. Sean was able to accept and willing to accept those terms. So here's how it goes. Tom decided that if you want to earn something, choose respect, because even beggars can earn money, right? So for him, it wasn't about the money. Shit, he wants his name on a trophy. So Tom Doss is our champion. He gets his name on a trophy. He gets the ring. And I think this is his second time on the trophy. Shit, I hope it's not the third. But he gets the name on the trophy. He gets the ring. But he sacrifices the money, and he's taking the second place money instead. So he's going to get $190. I'll get that out to you this week coming up. The second place team will end up being Sean Staggs, who had Jamar Chase on his team that will never know if he's going to score 11 points or not. But he's willing to accept second place as long as he gets first place money. So he's taking the money. He's an actuary. Of course he's going to take the money, right? He's a numbers guy. So he's taking $390, and he says, fuck the trophy, right? Third place, Mr. Will. He was new this year. I enjoyed having him in the league. I hope he comes back next year. He did a good job of being productive, having some good ideas, and not bitching. But he does not want to share his last name, because if he did, you're going to notice that he may or may not be Calvin's brother. And he doesn't want anybody to know that, as he does not accept Calvin as part of his family. All right, but he does get $50. Last but not least, the consolation bracket or the toilet bowl winner. Fuck whoever wins that. Who cares what that dude's name is, right? So he's not getting on the slideshow, right? But he does get $20. So whoever you are, you get $20 coming your way. Just keep looking in your Zelle payment, and if you get $20, then yeah, you're that guy. But yeah, you're not important enough to put on the slideshow, brother. All right, finally, last but not least, man, if you want to bitch and complain about Sleeper, that seems to be popular. Or Danny, if you want to keep giving me a hard time this year, bro. Oh man, I'm glad the season's over, man. Danny can leave me alone for a little bit. Next year, fuck that. I learned my lesson. No matter who Danny drafts, I'm putting A. He can have the worst fucking draft ever, bro. I'm giving him an A just so he can leave me alone. But yes, follow me on Twitter at BogeyGolfer9. And finally, last but not least, the music was provided by POD. The song was Alive. And that's pretty much the show respects, my man. Go back, Mr. Hamlin, okay? Hey, like I said, this is just a game for us, man. But for these guys, this is real life. We have another season to look forward to. Hopefully we get a true champion next year. But for now, my man DeMar Hamlin is alive, and he hopes to play football again. So we're going to pray for him and wish him the best. Thank you, everybody, for joining me this season. Hope to see everybody back next year.